Hey guys, it's Hector Castillo from girlschase.com. Today I want to talk about presence, specifically social presence when you're around guys or girls. And social presence is basically the effect that you have on the room even when you're not talking or while you're talking. So in pickup or in social skills in general, we teach you how to speak in a certain way, what to say maybe, how to move yourself, how to be, how to act. But there's another layer, an esoteric layer, meaning something that's a little bit mystical almost, where you can't quite describe it. And one of those things that's very hard to describe is presence. Have you ever been in a room with someone where you just feel their presence? Maybe you're sitting on the couch and you've talked to them and, you know, whenever they talk, for some reason, you're just gravitated towards them. But even when they're not talking, let's say there's some people who are charismatic. When they talk, they're good at holding attention and people want to listen. But when they're not talking, they're not still the center of attention. But there's those people that you meet that even when they're not talking, even when someone else is the center of attention and they do seem like an attractive person to watch or listen to, there's still that pull. Like you just have to look at that guy and check him out. Or a girl, you know. Beyond her just being hot, that's probably why you're looking at her. But sometimes you'll meet women and men who just have this ability to draw your attention even when they're not doing anything. And that's what I want to talk about. But the problem with that is it's very hard to teach. I have a lot of different methods in my head of how I might communicate how to build that presence. So we'll just talk about it from a personal perspective and how I feel when it happens. And then I'll try to come up with some good tips on the fly that will really resonate and help you understand in a practical way, even though it does seem to be a little bit esoteric and, like I said, hard to teach. So I want to be honest with you, this is a little bit more of an advanced video. If you have no social experience, it's going to be very hard to soak up the knowledge. But if you're a guy who has been in a lot of situations and, you know, you've cut your teeth a bit and you have some stripes on your back, then you're going to be able to intuitively pick up on what I'm trying to say. And somehow, I always notice this with my coaching clients, I teach them something that's a little bit hard to describe. You just have to use philosophical words or poetry to kind of explain it to them. And then they turn around and they totally hit a new level and they sleep with a new girl or get a new girlfriend. And I don't know how that information transmitted to them, but it did. So bear with me. It's a little bit more of an advanced video. Presence, from a anecdotal perspective, is controlled by two things. One is intention of your mind, and two is the way that you are composing yourself. So let's start with intention. So the way that I build a presence is it's very active. It's not something that just happens, right? I wasn't always someone who got looks even when he wasn't the center of attention or draws people's attention for some mystical reason. I had to learn how to do it. But the more that I practiced it, the more that it seemed to happen. So what I started to do was when I was trying to learn how women worked, I learned what they wanted. And so when I learned what they wanted, then I had to reflect that and be that thing that they wanted. So I had to be dominant, I had to be charismatic, I had to be funny, I had to be fun, be enjoyable to be around. There's a lot of different qualities that women find attractive, and if you don't know what those are at all, we have plenty of articles and videos that will cover that. But once I started to learn the things that made women wet, or the things that made women curious, I started to project those things even when I wasn't acting or I wasn't talking. So if I was standing next to a girl on the train station, right? I haven't even opened her yet. I haven't even started talking to her. But I think in my head, in my experience, I thought that I had this ability to draw her even when I wasn't acting. So there's the obvious physical reality of me being right here and her being right there. She could find me attractive. She could like my fashion. All of those things you should work on, right? To get girls' attention. But all of that being equal, I also wanted to add this element of intention where I would be standing there and she would be standing next to me. And I would start visualizing her turning around and looking at me and just telling me, you know, she fell in love with me. Or I could just imagine myself opening her and talking to her and then going on a date with her and then fucking her and her becoming my girlfriend. I would visualize it, but it would also be intentional. It wouldn't always be visual. I would have, not mantras, but I guess intentions are the best word, where I would think to myself, she finds me attractive. She, you know, she's curious who I am. There's a reason she's standing next to me. I started to create my own reality, whether that was true or not. And what I found, and I can't reproduce it and I can't, you know, put it on a spreadsheet and make it reproducible. So if you have any materialistic objections to this, I really have no counter argument. But there's some things that I know, or at least intuit to be true. And what I found was that when I started to do that more and I got better and clearer and more confident with my intentions, I somehow was transmitting interest, and I found that overall my attraction from women started to grow. And I would even notice in the moment, not even on the macro scale, but in the moment, she would not be totally like body language wise open to me, and I knew what to look for, but then I would start to intend it to be that way, and then it started to happen. And I would even notice the moment of when I started to become very intentional with my desires and my fantasies of what might happen between us, that she started to respond. Now, I don't know the reason for it. I have some philosophical arguments for why I think that is, but it would go way beyond the scope of this video. So I would just challenge you to try it. Try when you're in a room, try to think of yourself as, everyone thinks I'm charismatic. You know, I am this beaming energy. I am this light in the room, and people are drawn to me. It can be visual, it can be a mantra, it can be a thought experiment. It could have any form, but I just want you to have that intent and that desire to draw that kind of reality to you. And you might find that it will work. Some of you will try it and, you know, it might not work. My argument would be that you didn't believe in yourself enough. But if you find it to be useful, try it, and you're gonna notice that you're gonna have this thing that we call presence. There's this vibration, this energy, this frequency, and people are gonna be drawn to you, whether they're talking to you or even met you before. You could just be a girl on the street, or it could be your best friend, but you're just giving out those positive vibes and they just really love to be around you. So give it a whirl and tell me if it improves your experiences with women in the large scale, or if you have a really cool experience where for some reason you started intending and then things started happening. So the second part then is how you compose yourself. And that is the physical marketing part of this. So the first part was kind of mystical and a little bit hard to talk about, but this part is a little bit more practical. So you have your fundamentals, which are how you dress, you know, how you groom yourself, if you wear jewelry or not, if you take care of your skin, if you work out, all that. That's called fundamentals. Those are called passive fundamentals. Those are what make the wrapping more pretty, and you should always be trying to improve that, because it improves your the frequency and the quality of the women that you get. But there's also a thing called active fundamentals, which is also what we talk about, how to use hand gestures, how to use facial expressions, how to actually speak in an attractive way. These things are called active fundamentals. But then there's a third one that it's kind of active fundamentals, and maybe I'm just adding in another category to feel cool, but it seems to be something different. Let's say you're in a room and your friends or a new friend group is around you, and you're kind of still fitting in and you're not really sure how you can get them to like you. So you're sitting there and you start doing the intention thing that I just talked about, but then you have to actually express it in a way. So what you want to do is pay very close attention to, how am I sitting? Is it cool? Does it look cool? How am I looking at people when they're talking? Am I giving them a lot of attention when they deserve it? Or am I being too needy and giving them a lot of attention and they shouldn't be getting that much attention from me? Should I be staring at the window to kind of seem cool and, you know, spacey and artistic? What way do I want to act and compose myself when maybe I'm not the center of attention? This could be when you're listening to a girl. How do you look attractive when you're listening to a girl talk? Have you ever even considered that? I think about it all the time. If a girl's talking, how should I be composing myself as she talks in order to make it seem like I'm interested at the right times, I'm the right amount of interested, I'm being attractive while I listen to her, so that if other girls are watching, they're like, oh, that guy kind of looks cool. You know, that girl's really giving a lot of attention. He seems like really chill about it, but he's still interested. He seems like a nice guy. I wonder who he... That. I'm always thinking, how do I get that reaction from people? So if a girl's standing in front of me, I'm gonna think, okay, I need to relax, lower my shoulders, give good eye contact, right? And maybe give a smile every once in a while when she's saying something cute, or when I just, for some reason, I look at her and I'm reminded of how beautiful she is and I smile. And I'm just composing myself very well. And I've had it happen where I was going through this, these thoughts, and I was like trying to, basically act in a cool way, but I really wanted to do it, so it wasn't fake. But it's like, all right, how do I market my composure in a way that's attractive? So a girl was talking and she's, I'm just like, wow, she's really pretty, right? That's an intent, right? That's a desire. Then I expressed it where I just smiled. And then she stopped and she would say, what are you smiling at? And I just say, I was just admiring you. Or, I've sat next to girls and I just started checking them out. I'm like, okay, we're not interacting, we're not talking, and I don't necessarily want to start trying to pick her up, but I don't know, I'm feeling this attraction to her. So I just looked over at her and I just started scanning her. And she started to notice and she looked over, she's like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm just appreciating you. That's pretty sexy. She got kind of red and she got cute and she started giggling. And so there was that intent, right? That kind of mystical thought element, and it translated into action. But it wasn't just the action itself. There was something deeper going on. And although I can't explain it, it's kind of what we call a quotidian miracle. It's the small miracles that you notice throughout the day. The things that might be coincidences, but you have a feeling that there's something a little bit more. That's what I feel like encapsulates the idea of presence, of this ability to just vibrate on some level that you can't quite explain, but it seems to have an effect on the world that you can't explain. So give the whole intention thing a try. I think that you'll find it fun because at least you're having fun, right? It's kind of positive. If you're ever having positive mindsets, it might be a placebo effect, a self-fulfilling prophecy, or it might be something deeper than that. But give it a try and start thinking more positively and intending everything about your reality a little bit more positively. When you're with girls, when you're not with girls, when you're out in the city, it doesn't matter. You should always be trying to think more positively and always trying to bring a life that you want into existence by desiring it, visualizing it, and pursuing it. So be intentional with your desires, and then also learn how to market those desires in a good way and leave her feeling like she is in a room with not even a human, a being that maybe she's not used to being around, or a human who's on another frequency and he's on another level and there's something I can't quite figure out about him, but I want to know more, so I'm going to keep looking at him and I'm going to smile at him, and maybe I'll let him take me out, and maybe I'll fuck him because he was just so damn cool. Okay, this is Hector Castillo, girlschase.com. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, like, ring the bell for the notifications so you see all the videos, and then follow me on my social medias, and I'll see you very soon.